Hi, I'm Dave Buda, and you're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.
Hi everyone, John Liebman here. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. Coming to you on location today from the campus of Berklee College of Music in Boston with our good friend Dave Buda. Hey Dave.
Hi, John. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too. Thanks very much. You are a pretty much a lifelong Bostoner. And you've done a lot of very cool things. I'm interested in how that all came to be. Tell me about your earliest days, how you first remember being introduced to music, the kind of musical surroundings that you had, what attracted you to the bass, and how that whole big ball got rolling.
Sure. I was actually very fortunate. I was born in a musical family. My dad played in the Boston Symphony, and my mom was a ballet dancer. So my earliest memories is watching my mom teach ballet and hearing the pianist accompany.
Did she ever try to get you to learn ballet? I guess so.
I guess unfortunately no. But
got any
but
pictures of that?
They were beautiful.
Excuse me, what instrument did your dad play?
My dad is a percussionist drummer, and he was a great jazz drummer. He's in his 80s now. He played with Stan Kenton, and he was one of the first cats that bridged the two worlds of being a legit player. His name is Fred Buda.
Fred Buda. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, go on.
And but my earliest memories is watching my mom dance, and in the house watching her dance to Stevie Wonder. All these people I never heard of, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and my dad playing big band music. Growing up with Duke Ellington, Count Basie, I couldn't have been more lucky. I mean, I was a seed put in the right pot, basically, and music is just in my unconscious. It's just always been there. I've been pretty much just regurgitating, I think, what I've heard, and sometimes not even knowing where it came from.
What about the bass? What was special about the bass to you, and what was the initial attraction?
Well, for one, it wasn't the drums like my dad, and I was taking drum lessons, and I enjoyed it, and I was good at it. Like most things, when it came to reading music when I was young, that was enough of that. But it's when I first heard rock and roll, and I didn't really hear it for the first time, or better yet, experience it, until I was in the 7th grade, and there was a band playing for the dance. I think it was a high school or junior high dance, I don't remember. And they played, first tune was Elton John, Saturday Night is All Right for Fighting, and I will never forget hearing that bass hit me. The electric bass, it just washed over me, and I instantly got chills. Just got chills, and I knew that's what I'm going to do.
Well, did you start picking out the bass parts when you heard on the radio or Dee Murray, Elton John's bass player?
Well, at the time, I didn't know who that was. It took about a year and a half for me to even get a bass, because I played the drums. I should add, I played the saxophone. I played a lot of instruments, but I wasn't passionate about any one of those particular instruments. It was comic books. And so basically my dad was like, oh, not another instrument. So I kept at it for a year and a half, came home from school, and there was a bass one day. I was like so excited, I got a migraine headache. So then I started picking out things. And believe it or not, it was the two things I was picking out was Stevie Wonder and Kiss.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a 12-year-old, 11 or 12-year-old at the time, and it was perfect for me.
So your influences were Nate Watts and Gene Simmons.
Yeah, I wish it could be more sophisticated, but it was a good thing that was my first influence.
Did you ever play upright?
Yes, I did, through my teens and my early 20s, and I learned the French way, French bow. What happened was I developed I don't know if it was already there, but there was a tendon problem in my right hand. And all those years, I could not hold the bow more than 2 minutes. And it was frustrating because I would practice. And my dad was really big on, you want to be good enough to play in a symphony, because that's where music truly is a business. And I tried and tried, and the acoustic bass, the upright, just became a symbol of pain for me.
Did you ever try with the German bow?
Never did, and I wish I did. I wish I did. But I think the reason why I didn't was my passion was always with the electric bass. And I believe I was really learning the acoustic out of just getting more work, which is fine, nothing wrong with that, but I think that's the wrong motivation for some people to pick up an instrument. So I think there might have been some unconscious resistance there, because the answer didn't occur to me at the time to play German.
Okay, well, obviously things worked out for you because you've done some very admirable things in your career. We were talking a little bit earlier, but give the folks here some highlights from. Go ahead and toot your horn a little bit.
Okay, sure. Well, I played with the Boston Pops for about 15 years, playing with all these guest artists. Mary Chapin Carpenter, played with Patti LaBelle there. I also did some touring with her in the very beginning when I was younger. They had so many guest artists. Vince Gill, Take Six, actually played electric bass along with the bass singer. And that actually got me a lot of gigs through that. We played really well together.
Excuse me, who was conducting the Pops?
Keith Lockhart.
Okay.
And there was never really an electric bass player at that time, but he was young. He wanted to bring in more modern music. So it was a good fit. It was a good fit.
You did the show Rent for quite a while, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a really extraordinary opportunity for me. I heard about the audition, and for shows, Broadway shows, extremely rare that they would have an audition. That's just union stuff.
Yeah.
So it was a national audition, and I showed up, and it was about 4 auditions they kept, almost like Hollywood, we'll call you.
Yeah.
And I got the gig, and I did that for over a year. I never got sick of it. But it also helped spread my name because so many people auditioned for it.
Were you traveling, or were you in one spot that whole
Pretty much one spot. There was Michigan for a little while. That was, I think, the first stop. I went to Chicago.
Remember the venue in Michigan?
I don't. But
It would have been probably the Fisher Theater or the Fox Theater or Masonic.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I've been everywhere. How can I remember these things? But anyways, then I got the gig at Berklee, and that was a big incentive for me to stay in town.
All right, you're a relative newcomer to the Berklee faculty. You've only been here since 2000, right?
Yeah, a baby.
Well, I
People
interviewed
like the gig.
Joe Santerre earlier today, and Anthony Vitti, and some of those guys have been there, some of them 30 years or more.
We love the gig. We love the gig. We all get along great, and it's a great department. Wonderful. People who go here, there might be a bass major and they become MP&E major or whatever it is, but they still love the bass department. They come back and visit. There's a brotherhood and now a sisterhood here, and it's also the joke is it's the personality of bass players. We don't know how the vocal department is or the guitar department, but in the bass department, it's real chill.
Ever since I started for BassPlayersOnly.com back in 2009, I've discovered what I think I kind of already knew, but the bass community is a very special kind of unit. There's a real special camaraderie that I don't think is quite the same. Maybe drummers have their thing, but there's something special about bass players.
There really is. I mean, I can't tell you. There's times where I might have gotten a gig and replaced somebody, and the person I replaced calls me and says, "Do you have a bass I can borrow or some strings?" And of course I'm going to help them out. Wow. It's like, or vice versa. And that's the nature of bass players. We just seem to not like competition in that sense, even though it's part of the music business.
What about the students here? You must have seen all kinds of
everything.
Yes, they want to be this, or some know everything, or some really want to learn, or some have a great attitude or a questionable attitude.
Sure.
What advice do you have, or what do you try to impart to your students, or what do you think every bass player needs to know, or every aspiring musician needs to know? What kind of advice do you have for those people?
My advice is listen to music, and that means all kinds of music. Never describe yourself as a funk player, a Latin player, a heavy metal player. Never identify with a brand of music. To be a musician means to be a music maker. And to be successful in the music business, you want to be able to make music and function on any style. And to me, that's always been the mark of success. For some people, they become specialists at a certain thing, and they're known for that. And in some ways, that's a real fit, perhaps for money. They have to do very well and become stars in that. But the reality is, for most players, is to function in the music business, you better be able to play some different styles and play it well, and be familiar with all kinds of music, open-mindedness. Often what I see with students, they'll say, "Oh, I don't like this thing, I don't like this thing." Sometimes they'll call jazz, I'm not into the Berklee thing. And often what they don't realize is to learn how to play that stuff has nothing to do with being a great jazz player. It's just that's the true training ground for someone learning how to improvise. You're playing harmony, you're walking, and you're playing rhythm all at once. I can't think of there's very few styles that you're doing that. The joke is learn your root and your fifth, go get a gig.
Tell me about your equipment. I know you have a bass or two that are very special to you.
I've been playing Padula basses since 92. Yeah, I remember meeting Mike out in the NAMM show, and he offered me some instruments, and I loved them. He clearly saw I was playing it, and I said, "This is it." Yeah. So I've had a relationship with him, and I have an MVP 5-string, 4-string fretless, and the one I've been playing primarily since 1997 is the Padula Raptured bass with we call the JJ setup, the pickups, two Bartolinis. Yeah. And it's been the most versatile bass I've ever had because it has that Fender sound, but it's also modern. But I find I can get any kind of sound out of it. When I record, no one has ever complained. Yeah.
Tell me a little more about the Bartolini pickups, because those are a big part of the sound.
They are. They're really wonderful. I know Michael Padula had them do a little bit of a tweaking for his preferences, and I don't think that was necessary, but I think it's very common with manufacturers. They want their own little take on things, perhaps. It's very warm. To me, they're the warmest pickups I've ever heard.
There's a guy named Clyde Clark that acquired the Bartolini company not too long ago, a few years ago, and he's
from Bill Bartolini.
Yes, Clyde's a wonderful guy, and he's really taking the company forward. Mm-hmm. Well, what about the future, Dave? What else would you like to do that you haven't already accomplished? You've done a lot.
I think I'd like to be doing more recording with artists, more bringing what I can bring to the table, to their songs. That has picked up a lot for me in the last 6 years, and I think it's one of my favorite things to do, especially working with singers, whether that's on a gig or being asked to record with them. There's something really special about playing a certain note during a certain vocal line, or a double stop right at that perfect point, whatever it is, that I find as I mature as a musician is more special than playing fast passages or things that used to blow me away when I was young. So much athleticism, and God, was I guilty of it. Probably still am.
You're not the only one. Yeah. I made note of something you said a minute ago. For the last 6 years, why so specific? Did something happen 6 years ago?
Well, I've noticed in this area more recording is happening with songwriters, where, as you know, and it was only New York and L.A. were the scenes. Now people are sending their tracks to you. It's really opened things up, the technology. So fortunately, my name gets out there, and I'm good at it. I'm really good at it. I enjoy it. I have an attitude of service. What do you want on this? And that's picked up, and I really enjoy it. But I think that's good for the music industry, that people don't necessarily have to go to New York, L.A., or Nashville anymore. That they can get some prominence where they live if they so choose to. Yeah.
Last question, Dave. What would you be if you weren't a bass player? Something outside.
That's easy, actually.
Something outside of music.
Yeah, I think I would have been a psychologist.
Okay.
Yeah, people like music. I mean, what did Miles Davis say? Music is about folks. It's about folks, and folks have always fascinated me.
Well, this has been very interesting. Thanks,
Yeah,
Dave.
my pleasure. Thank you.
Great getting to know
Yeah,
you. Keep
same
doing
here.
what you're doing, and keep inspiring bass players and musicians and folks everywhere.
It all comes back to us.
It all comes back. On location at the Berklee College of Music, right here on the campus in Boston, Massachusetts, with our friend Dave Buda. I'm John Liebman. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.